What really happened behind the scenes of Coldplay and BTS's collaboration that was never revealed to the public? Why did a statement from Chris Martin make Taehyung shed tears? And what does it have to do with Jungkook's long-hidden past? A sudden statement from Coldplay's lead vocalist, Chris Martin, in a recent exclusive interview in London, shocked many, including BTS fans and global music observers. In a BBC interview segment originally scheduled to discuss the musical collaboration between Coldplay and BTS, Chris unexpectedly revealed a detail that had never been publicly disclosed before about Jungkook's emotional state during the recording of My Universe and Taehyung's deeply touching reaction behind the scenes. Chris Martin, known for being careful when making statements about his collaborators, this time made a confession considered the most honest moment in the history of cross-national artist relations. In his statement, Chris said that Jungkook was carrying something very heavy at that time, something that even we, the members of Coldplay, didn't fully understand until we saw it ourselves. Without being too specific, Chris added that the experience also shook him personally and became the reason why his relationship with Jungkook developed far beyond professional collaboration. This immediately raised questions. What did Chris Martin mean by something very heavy? And how could that make Taehyung, one of the BTS members known for his emotional strength, unable to hold back tears? Information gradually being revealed shows there was a much more complex personal dynamic behind the creative process of BTS and Coldplay's collaboration. Several internal sources from the agency and international production team involved in the recording of My Universe revealed that at the time of the collaboration, Jungkook was under extreme personal pressure. The pressure wasn't merely from public expectations or the weight of fame, but stemmed from an internal struggle tied to his identity as an artist constantly associated with stardom, yet engulfed by loneliness. In that context, Chris Martin is said to have been one of the first people outside BTS to witness firsthand how Jungkook questioned his own existence as a musician, a human being, and a role model. When we were doing the fourth take of the chorus, Jungkook, suddenly stopped, closed his eyes, and just stood there in silence. No one said a word for several minutes. Chris recalled that moment seriously. The story went even deeper when it was revealed that after the session, Jungkook didn't immediately return to the waiting room with the other BTS members. Instead, he spent time with Chris Martin in the studio control room, and that's where the emotional moment Chris referred to took place. He spoke honestly about his fear of losing himself, about the pressure of being the hope of millions, and about how he sometimes felt unworthy of receiving so much love. Chris continued, "This statement not only revealed Jungkook's vulnerability, but also reflected the brutal reality behind South Korea's glamorous entertainment world, which often demands perfection without considering the mental well-being of its artists." For Taehyung, this fact wasn't new, but hearing it directly from Chris Martin, a musician he admired and trusted, made him so touched that he couldn't hold back tears, as shown in internal documentary footage later leaked to Japanese media, showing him sobbing in the corner of the room after the interview session. Why did Taehyung cry? According to a HYB internal source, very few people in the world knew what Jungkook had actually gone through. Even within BTS, Jungkook tends to keep a lot of things to himself. He rarely opens up unless it's a moment of crisis. And seeing that Chris could understand it in such a short time made Taehyung feel deeply moved and at the same time guilty, said one of the production staff. Even more surprising, Chris Martin revealed that after that conversation, he changed the structure of the lyrics of My Universe to reflect Jungkook's feelings. The line, "You make my world light up inside," was not just an ordinary romantic praise, but an interpretation of Jungkook's role in others' eyes, that even in his lowest moments, he still brought light to the universe of those around him. The fact that Jungkook's vocals were ultimately placed at the end of the final version of the song also turned out to be no coincidence. We felt that was the most honest way to end the song. A confirmation that even when he, Jungkook, was going through hard times, his voice still gave hope, said Chris. The reaction of netizens and armies around the world exploded after the interview was released. Many admitted they only realized how deep the meaning of the song was after learning the emotional context behind its production process. Several hashtags such as hashtag Protect Jungkook and hashtag Thank You Chris Martin quickly became trending topics within hours. From the industry's perspective, Chris's statement also sparked a new discussion on the importance of mental health in cross-cultural collaborations. Observers noted that Chris Martin's courage to speak openly about this shows a new evolution in international cooperation ethics, where humanity is no longer sidelined by commercial targets. However, amid the uproar triggered by Chris Martin's statement, a crucial question arises that cannot be ignored. Did all of this truly happen? Are Taehyung's tears and the Coldplay vocalist's confession a genuine reflection of real events, or merely the result of a media narrative overly spiced with sensationalism? This is not just about emotion or personal bonds between international musicians. It is about the integrity of the information presented to the broader public. When publications from social media platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter become the primary reference points, we must ask, where is the line between truth and narrative construction for the sake of virality? We must recognize that emotion is a powerful tool in shaping public perception. When Taehyung is seen bowing his head and wiping away tears in a viral video clip, the public immediately concludes that it is a response to Chris Martin's statement. But do we know the actual context of that video? Was it recorded at the same time as Coldplay's statement? Or was it merely used as a dramatic supplement to reinforce the narrative? This is where we need to cultivate a healthy sense of skepticism. It is important to note that the information we convey in this article comes from various media sources, including platforms widely known but often lacking in accuracy, such as TikTok and Twitter. Some accounts spread videos with captions that guide public opinion, while others edit interviews with music and visual effects that create a specific atmosphere. So the question is this a product of pure journalism, or merely a performance beautifully packaged to touch the emotions of the audience? We encourage you to reflect on your position in this phenomenon. Are you merely a passive consumer of viral information, or do you want to be part of a wiser society that prioritizes clarification, logic, and verification before drawing conclusions? Will you share this news just because it feels emotionally stirring, or will you examine its sources first? The final question we need to contemplate together is this: how likely is it that this is merely a carefully constructed fabrication, shaped by social media algorithms and the drive for popularity, to generate a wave of public emotion purely for digital engagement? If this is true, who really benefits from this sensation and who is harmed? Therefore, we invite all of you to think critically. Don't just believe. Don't let emotion override logic. Check the sources. Question the intention behind the narrative. And most importantly, be part of a healthy information society, not just a consumer of digital drama. Are you sure this is real? Or are you starting to doubt it now?